Welcome to Gray Areas for April 22nd, 2025, episode 670. I'm going to go make sure that we're live. We appear to be live. Everything seems to be fine. And I'll also let you know while I'm vamping that Dave was here just a moment ago, but his connection, like in a lot of hotels, is not very good. So his video froze for about 3 straight minutes, and the audio was on at least a 2 or 3 second delay. So he tried to join and check in with us real quick, but he's not going to be able to do it because if he's that delayed, it would just kind of butcher the whole timing.
What a fool.
Well, he tried.
Cody's pulling up his notes.
But
are we also frozen?
There he is in the chat.
You are live.
You're live.
You
live.
can't be in the chat watching the show when we're going to talk about Severance, Dave.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then,
that is also...
you have to go away.
Maisie loves Sean's sweater. I almost got that sweater. Instead, I got the long sleeve shirt version of that.
Hi, Siri. Do you want to talk about the show? Oh, you got yelled at. You don't want to leave.
She's not listening. She's going to get in trouble.
You're getting in trouble, dog.
Dave says he'll leave shortly because he's 3 hours ahead and about to leave. So he's been traveling for work.
Dave, any chicken you want to do, just type into the chat and we can read it out loud.
Just did. Courtney has the best sun sweater, though, which, I mean, without proof, I'm not saying it's not right. I'm just saying we don't know. So, we can't.
I think it's false.
I'm not allowing that, and we're going to ban that. So let's go ahead and say goodbye to Dave, who's now being removed from the chat.
What did Dave do?
No, I'm just kidding. He's not being removed from
what
the chat.
What did Dave do?
He's going to be sad, though.
It's
been a tumultuous day. I think Maisie's on her way down to Phoenix or Tucson, and I was in Phoenix today and then came back all in one day. And, everybody's busy. That's the thing. As we all are approaching or past 40, things just keep getting busier and busier, but we're here.
I'm not approaching 40 yet.
You are.
No, I'm not.
You
I'm
are currently
halfway.
You are approaching 40 as we speak.
I mean, in a way, we're all approaching 40 and
That's
50
right.
and death.
I mean, I might be approaching death more than I'm approaching 40. We don't know. There's no way of knowing that.
Dave says the Red Sox are quite fun to go to their park. I've never been to Fenway. It'd be something I'd like to do. It's one of those parks, even though it's old and probably not that much fun to sit in, but it's historic. Never wants to live on the East Coast, and Michigan's kind of boring. Yeah.
I've got the hot take that Fenway's mostly a piece of shit, but I probably shouldn't get into that right now.
Oh, I think it could be a piece of shit and something I'd like to visit.
It is. It's very fun to visit. I don't know how enjoyable, honestly, watching it. I should have sat on top of the Green Monster. That probably would have been more fun. There's a lot of other reasons why it's not great.
This is boring. Baseball stadium talk's boring.
They're really cool, architecture.
No, we have
we have to get Dave the fuck out of here before. You know what? We'll start with a challenge, and Dave will just check out on his own.
That's right.
We can't start with the challenge because everyone's going to check out them.
Good.
Only the true fans will remain.
Which is Maisie. And
so we're going to touch on a lot of TV, actually. Mainly Severance, because that's what we've both seen. I also think it's the best show of the year so far. Well, it's probably going to be the best show of the year, period. That's a little more less underwhelming than my first statement. There's a little bit. We can talk about Righteous Gemstones. That's season 4. You can't say a lot because I haven't seen it. There's a little bit of Daredevil just finished. Last of Us 2.
I've only watched the first episode. I know what happens in the second
stuff.
one. But...
Lots of stuff. Yeah, get out of here, Dave.
Yeah.
So basically just watch HBO, honestly, right now, because right now on Sundays, I also have the pitch of watch The Rehearsal because it seems as unhinged and insane as almost anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, and you can talk about the studio.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, there is. The streamers are doing pretty well. I mean, I don't know if HBO is not really a streamer, and also Max seems like it changed its logo back to black. So I'm like, this is just fucking HBO all over again now. So I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
There is a lot of good shit, honestly, on to watch right now. Like whether you're catching back up, like I did, just finishing Severance, or if you're just trying to find some new stuff. I mean, HBO right now has got Righteous Gemstones, The Last of Us, and The Rehearsal are now all of its Sunday block for a couple more weeks.
Seven Kingdoms coming out soon.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit.
Yeah, Disney Plus has Andor coming out.
Yeah, that's the other one. That's a good point too. The one show that they've not fucked up. So.
Yeah, literally.
For a character I don't even like very
Daredevil.
much.
So they just finished Daredevil, which we'll get to, and then now Andor. It's a nice little fall block for that, or a spring block.
Which is funny because I feel like maybe I'm just not in the circle of it anymore, but I feel like it's not getting talked about as much, where we shit on Disney for when they make bad stuff, and then when they make good stuff, it's just like, oh, cool, it exists.
Yeah, it's a little bit flawed. You know what? I'll just start with Daredevil just really quick. It was great. It was so nice seeing the characters again, all the actors coming back. you could feel that they redid. So they shot the whole season, and they're like, "Oh, this is bad." So they redid. They're like, "It's like fans want what we did before that was beloved." For some reason, they want us to do more of that. So they redid the first 8th and 9th episodes. They reshot those, and then they kind of like stitched it all together. And it feels
that's a risky proposition, and then to actually pull it off is probably pretty impressive.
I think they did as good of a job as they could. I think season 2 is going to be much more promising because the team that came in for 1, 8, and 9 are now doing all of season 2. I think it's going to be great, but for a stitched together mess, I thought it was still pretty cohesive and good TV.
All right, I mean, this is going to sound like a dumbass question, but like, are they factoring him into the movie stuff, or is he
probably not?
Is he? Honestly, it's a good thing. If they're gonna just make the show, do the Daredevil thing. If people like Daredevil, he's a small enough down like character where it's not like, well, he's not gonna help people in space battle and blah blah blah. And all this
but
bullshit.
You're not gonna like this. You're not gonna like this. At the end of the season, they turn New York into like martial law because Fisk is the governor of
I don't mind that.
mayor of New York.
I don't mind, but it's like from the Gotham perspective of how Penguin worked. Like,
well, right,
Gotham's a fucking disaster shithole, and like how tied to the movie was Batman or the Penguin show, other than like the flood happened because of what happened in the movie.
I thought you wouldn't like it though because in the larger MCU, how does no one else support?
I don't
Daredevil?
care. I don't care about that anymore.
Okay, great.
I honestly
great.
like. I would rather than trying to do the whole, well, why aren't the Avengers responding? Blah. Well, you know what? They've done it like 18 times now where they haven't fucking showed up to help everyone. So maybe we just don't care anymore.
Yeah,
that's kind of the way I look at it. It's like I just don't care anymore. Like if the content of the show is good in its own little vacuum, let's just not be like well, why aren't the Avengers showing up right now? It's like maybe the Avengers would make the show worse. So maybe if you care about the character of Daredevil, maybe you don't give a fuck about the Avengers and you would just like to live in that universe.
Yeah, I don't.
Which is why I like the current version of Batman with Pattinson and Penguin. It's not tied to some bigger DCU universe where Superman's right over there. I don't want that. I just want a show about that thing, and this big level shit is just not that big of a deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Peter's essentially right too. They don't need the Avengers here not that Fisk isn't imposing, but again, it's not like a world-altering situation.
No.
But I think we're going to run into the same thing with the Fantastic Four, where it's going to be like, this is our chance to do this origin movie within the MCU with these new writers and teams and stuff, not the old days. So, like, I'm sure there are going to be cameos and shit. They can't help themselves at this point, but, like, for the people that want 97 other characters in that movie, it's like, that's not for them. This is for the Fantastic Four. Well, later on, you can blend all that together.
And so for the Fantastic Four, it's going to be in a different continuity anyway. Until they come to our Earth, probably at the end.
Yeah. So you get to kind of separate that, although, again, who knows, because, yeah.
But with no, they're not Avengers level threat, but you start to think, okay, Jessica Jones, all the Defenders.
Yes.
Well, they're probably not going to show up in season 2. So that's where it can strain your... unless you don't care, which I also don't care anymore.
I think we should
tell the story.
I think we should have someone at Avengers HQ deciding which threats are and aren't worthy of the Avengers being called in. And it's just like, you just sort them into buckets.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know what? We don't care. So cool. Daredevil, you got this by yourself. Just call him up and like, hey, man, no one's coming to help you.
Punisher's in it.
Okay.
He's great. John Bernthal and Charlie Cox have, I think, the best conversation in episode 4 that maybe has been on Disney Plus so far. Maybe. It's up there. So it's really good. Check it out. It's not perfect, but neither were, as fondly as they're remembered, neither were the first 3 seasons. Everybody always talked about they start off great, they get long in the middle, they end great. That was always the complaint. So, come off it. All these people are the Netflix shows are way better. It's like you were fucking complaining back then too. So
I feel like I only heard people bitching about the Netflix versions of most of those.
They always did, and then now
it was like, oh, this kind of sucks, and then the finale, oh, the finale's really good. It's like the season debut and the season ending episodes are like, oh, they started off so good, and they ended so good, and then like the middle 7 episodes, everyone's like, this
even
is
when
a
they were
terrible
wrong,
TV.
that was their complaint.
That's
like season 3 was perfect.
I didn't really watch many of them because those aren't characters as much as I'm interested in, so I didn't watch. But every time I managed to see it on the internet all the time, was like that was the response I seemed to get.
Why don't you talk about Righteous Gemstone? Because I took a Daredevil team.
You want to do Gemstones within the studio?
Well, you just do it really quick, like a quicker one.
All right. So I honestly don't know how. I mean, I grew up with, I guess, Danny McBride's type of humor, which is funny because that blends into the studio really well, as it's Seth Rogen humor. Mm-hmm. So if you've watched any of those movies that Danny McBride has existed in, I mean, including playing himself, and This Is the End, where he's just a douchebag version of Danny McBride.
Yep.
Or you watched Eastbound and Down, or you watched Vice Principals, which is less well known, but honestly a better show than Eastbound and Down, if I'm being honest. This Righteous Gemstones has been on for, I guess, 6 years now. We had a big block of time waiting through COVID for them to bring it back. So maybe it's even been longer. This season, the way the show is wrapping up, has been pretty fascinating so far. And again, I won't say really any plot detail stuff to spoil it. I will be honest, it's not quite as funny as some of the other ones, because as much as Danny McBride presents himself as a dickhead and a douchebag and all that, he seems to get very sentimental as his shows are winding down, and there's like some really deep introspective shit, including the episode we just watched. There is a very big, almost like series encapsulating, like finishing up a story for one of the main characters, while also ramping up a couple other things for the other characters, because I think we have 2 or 3 episodes left. This show is very, very, if you can handle the vulgarity of it and the very often, I mean, Sean, I don't know how many episodes how far into it are you now?
We have finished season 2, so we're on season 3
So
now.
you've been through quite a bit of full frontal male nudity. Through this show, which is a little jarring because it's not
Best
something
part.
that they
Favorite
do
thing.
a lot,
part
and
of the
McBride has absolutely no shame.
No.
And the one thing I will say is, so far through it, Sean, do you feel like the show is anti-religion?
No.
Okay. It is not at all. It's very
No, it's not.
anti-capitalistic religion, while also being pretty pro having beliefs and like being okay with religion in some ways.
Yeah, it is decently anti whatever this family is doing,
which is being rich pieces of shit who
which is
exploit
the
people.
Billy Graham, like whatever.
Yes,
but it doesn't really seem to have a stance on religion, which is weird for a show
about religion exclusively.
Religion, yeah.
Which I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe McBride, who lives in South Carolina, actually where they filmed the show is where he lives, is, I believe, like relatively religious. He just doesn't love the concept of exploiting the shit out of it, which is mostly what the show's message is. Point being, I think it's one of the funnier shows that's been on TV for the last couple of years that has a really like niche like following, and maybe isn't as popular as it should be. I don't feel like HBO didn't push this show for a couple years either. Yeah. I think in season 3, I think they started to ramp it up, and now in season 4, it feels like I feel like it's out there a lot more on social media or HBO in general. But it is, again, this season's not, I wouldn't say as good as the other ones, but I think it's doing a really good job of tying up a lot of stuff, which it has to do. I mean, it's going to be the last season. We're in the last handful of episodes. So rather than hitting on a lot of the slapstick, insane-ass humor, people getting run over by cars and hurt and shit like that, this is trying to do a little bit more of a family aspect to wrap it up. And so it's worth watching. I told Sean over and over again, I'm like, I think you and Macy are going to really enjoy this show because it's a weird escape from reality, in my opinion.
I don't even think and this is not a complaint, I don't even find it like, I was just, describing it to Kevin, and I was like, it is funny, but like, that it's not like the main thing. Like, no. When I think of the show, I'm not like, oh, I love the comedy. I'm just like, it's just a good show. And when they do comedy, it's very funny, but they're actually trying to tell like a story.
My pitch on it, I think I said to you, was it's religious succession, because it's a trio of siblings trying to take over their family's giant church business, and they're all fucking stupid and incompetent, which is mostly what Succession is in a really dramatic business aspect. This is a Succession if Danny McBride took a hold of it with some of his humor and then put religion on it.
Yep.
And having lost Succession a couple years ago, this show has been really a nice admit, because it is very character dynamic driven, given how it's a big cast. And I think it's not big, but we have like 6 pretty main characters, I would say. And so you're looking for the interactions and the quips back and forth a lot, towards you're right, it's not like laugh out loud, oh my god, that's so funny, but it's like, oh wow, she or he really like got him pretty good, and it's entertaining to see the one-upsmanship, I guess, is what kind of goes along with it. So.
No, I like it, and then you have Walton Goggins and John Goodman elevating like the acting just across the board, and
it's a fascinating show for Goodman to be doing this late in his career.
Yeah.
I tell that to Riot all the time. I'm like, I can't believe John Goodman is doing this, and this.
No.
And it seems like he's having a hell of a time. And then, Walton Goggins is an unhinged human being in that show. And it is really enjoyable to watch because he's buddies with McBride after they were in vice principals together. And it really does feel like McBride was like, all right, I need you in this show. I'm going to put you in old man makeup but you're like 60 or 70 years old, or however old he's supposed to be, which is confusing based on how old his sister is in the show and when they do flashbacks and shit like that. But yeah, I mean, if you like Walton Goggins on TV, he has a pretty decent amount of screen time once we get to late in season
He's
1.
the weirdest guy because he's like super high, I think, pedigree. Like he can act. It's a little more serious role in Fallout, and I think he does a great job. This is so stupid, but like he buys in completely.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bizarre character that they were like, who could do this better?
Yeah.
And if you want a more serious version, you've got the White Lotus, and he's in The Luckiest Man in America. It's like the Walton Goggins assance. And I mean, as a fan of Justified and some of his other niche stuff earlier in his career, it's kind of cool to see because, like, if you start making a list of who's hot right now, it's like Pedro Pascal, and then Walton Goggins is somewhere on that next tier.
Yeah. Especially with Fallout being exploding like it did.
Yeah.
He's got Fallout, this season of White Lotus, and The Righteous Gemstones. And again, he's one of the highlights of Gemstones for sure. Like, there's no question about it. That's a fascinating trio of shows to be on. I mean, 2 of them they're all premiere type TV stuff too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Coming off of having been in Justified for a long time, which was really funny because I had seen him in Righteous Gemstones before I ever started watching Justified. Before these two told me to watch it, which instantly became one of the most shows I've honestly liked more than anything I've watched in years.
And, people like him going back to, like, The Shield and some other smaller stuff. Like, it's not like this is new by any means, but to this level all at once is... I mean, again, if you're a fan of his, you're loving it right now.
Do you want me to jump into the studio for like 3 minutes really quick?
No, I think I think we should do Severance.
Okay.
Let's start the Severance, and then we can talk about some things at the back end. So I loved it. I think... it was my show of the year by a pretty big margin the year it came out, which was 2021, I think, season 1. And then there was writer strike, and a show like this just takes time. So season 2 came out, and I didn't even realize how much I missed it. The writing, acting, cinematography, the down to the symbols in every shot composition. It's just a show that's on another level from everything else that's on TV. I love the story. I love where they went with it this season. And I'm starting it there with how much I liked it because you had a very different experience. You did not feel as strongly. Or maybe you did, but it was anger.
That was one of the most up and down seasons of television I have ever watched. And unsurprisingly, it's up and down because it's all over the place with its episodes. We have 2 or 3 break-off episodes that have almost nothing to do with where we were in the show. I mean, one of them does, and then one Sean and I talked about last night. You could have dropped it anywhere between episode 3 and 9, and it would have been fine to put it in there anywhere in there. Another break-off episode that I guess it has to be where it is, but it's also I think one of the worst episodes of television I've ever watched. Because I can't handle them just tangentially going.
You just don't like the
forest episode,
outdoor episode.
The outdoor
which
episode,
is funny.
It is so to me, it's so unrelated to almost all the rest of the season until the final 5 minutes of that episode.
Well, and then,
also, we never answered the question as to what the fuck the clone people of them were. I have now finished the season, and the biggest question I have is, how the fuck do you see a version of yourself standing somewhere?
Well,
go up and wonder what the fuck that is.
Concretely, we don't know, but metaphorically, we know a lot. We know that they were trying the symbols that they were trying to do with the brother and all of that.
Yeah, the brother who definitely just melted and turned into a tree. 100%.
They talk about the emotions. The 4 emotions.
Tempers.
The tempers,
thank
you.
Sean.
Which come in the finale.
We did get to see the biggest water. Honestly, one of the biggest laughs I had all season.
It's great.
Was that line and me looking at Raya and being like, what the fuck does he mean it's the biggest waterfall?
Delivered so straight from him.
And then Raya turning to me being like, well, how many waterfalls would they know? Do they even know what a waterfall is?
The largest waterfall in the world. It's so good.
And honestly, I think having gone through the full season, I miss that. I miss some of the really bizarro humor that we had in season 1 that made me really, really love the show. It was really good because last night you said I'm gonna either really like the finale or really hate it. I am right in the middle of I don't even know how to feel.
Yeah, well, that's part of it, right? So because you get this, there's an uncomfortable sort of reality that the whole time that I've been thinking, you've probably been thinking too, of this is great, but when they destroy Lumen, they're all gone.
Yes,
and and then you convince yourself oh, well, that's okay. They probably want it anyways. They don't want to be there. But it's all the time in the back of my head, what are they going to do? And then to address it so full on,
I appreciated that. It took 20 episodes or 19 episodes of this show for anyone in the show to address the elephant in the room of, okay, but what happens to the people who are severed in the world in the show, and then they control the thing? And obviously we've introduced some workarounds where how they, again, the show doesn't explain anything. I will say that's my one big fault is it doesn't explain anything of how anything came to be in certain ways of, we show up to the birthing thing, whatever it's called, and they just have the ability to trigger it on off. No explanation why. It just is there. We don't know why. Cobell doesn't answer a fucking question and she's asked straight up, which is like, why are you helping me? No fucking answer. And that's the shit I can't handle. That's the shit that infuriates me so much because the show at times, it's shot really, you're right, it's shot really well. It's acted very, very well by most of the people in the show. It's also so far up its own ass at times that it gets a little frustrating.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
No, it's not the best part, but I like
and it's that some people are going to focus, because I think if you rewatch this show a couple times, I wouldn't get to the point of it's so far up its own ass to be like, oh, I see what you're doing here and you see what you're doing there. And some of it is so quick. Like a good example I have is in the finale, he makes this reference to Delaware, right? Which is a callback to season 1. This show took almost 2 years to come back from having been on. You're expecting people to have either rewatched season 1 before you watch season 2, or to have a really good fucking memory of the show you took way too fucking long to get season 2 of, and then you throw a quip like that in the finale. You're expecting a lot of your audience.
Well,
in my opinion.
But that's okay. I would rather have that than the hand-holding. And one reason that I love, because you're right, going back, so we rewatched the finale of season 1. Unless you have a really great memory, and this is such a good example that is a huge spoiler too, but we were already spoiling.
We're spoiling the show anyway, it's fine. Dave's not here.
Helly runs out of the elevator. And if you're not fresh out of watching season 1, you wouldn't be like, wait, why? Why is she running? We know where she cut out. She's just standing on a podium.
Yeah.
Oh, she's running because she's faking it because she's not really there.
Yeah.
It's little stuff like that I just think is brilliant. And they do ask a lot. I'm okay with that, but I can understand why a lot of viewers would be frustrated because like I don't have time to rewatch it. I barely have time to watch it the first time. Now you want me to watch it again? Like
if it's a show where every episode is 35 minutes or so, I can understand it. I had to sit through almost an hour-long episode 10 times. That's asking too much. I'm sorry. That's so many hours of TV nowadays. And I get it. They're the most popular show. They're going to have a following. People are going to dedicate that show over other stuff. To me, it's asking so much from people to either then rewatch all of your first season, which I believe the episodes were a little shorter. If I remember back, I could be totally wrong.
On average, I bet you're right.
But exactly, on average, I think. I mean, there's still some longer ones. But like the finale was, I clocked it because I watched it right before I showed up to the show. It's an hour and 11 minutes.
Yeah, it was long.
And some of that was necessary. And some of it really, really wasn't.
I think they're, on the finales, though, I like disagree. Because there are times, like the Cobell episode, to me, ran. I don't even know how long it was. It felt like it was long.
It was long.
Yeah.
It was really long.
I think they nail their finales. And they give the time where I want the time. And they did, especially in season 1. I figured, they're going to be in the real world. Yeah. It's going to be like 5 minutes. And they just dedicate so much time to it. And like I'm just like on the edge of my seat.
And if I was trying to trim it down, the one thing I would use, like I didn't care about Dylan's storyline in the finale. I just wanted to have Mark's storyline. Like, that's what you built up for the entire run of this show is Mark and his wife. And I want to get to that. And like interspersing a little bit of Dylan. Again, it wasn't a ton of screen time, but it was like a solid like 8 minutes. And I see why you had to do it because then he had to magically roll a vending machine through a marching band that didn't get interrupted by that, and then said that their performance was compromised way after he slammed a vending machine through which I just shit like that. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like he interrupted this whole show. Yeah,
but that
already.
Didn't matter. It was only
I know it was weird, but
when they got the trumpet stolen.
Yeah, that was the problem.
Yeah,
is when you take the instrument that they can no longer play with, then now.
Well, it's like if I'm a male stripper and I'm dancing for you, if you're like moving stuff in the living room, I don't care. But once you touch me, then it's like, well, now we got to stop. So I think that.
But we needed to place him somewhere for him to show up later to then do the vending machine thing.
Yeah.
Which was pretty crucial to the fucking episode because Helly can't hold a vending machine against Mr. Milkshake, just,
Right. Did you love the dance sequence and the marching and the song?
So I already had all that spoiled for me because I'd seen it on social media.
Okay.
I just seen memes of it.
Yeah.
And so I looked at Ryan and I was like, I'd seen this months ago on Twitter and I'd been wondering when it was going to happen. And once it didn't happen in episode 9, I was like, well, fuck. I know where it's going to happen. Again, that humor, excellent. I fucking love that Bizarro World shit.
Yeah.
But then you dump it into the finale that's really serious and tonally. On purpose, tonally, it's jarring. And that's the reason.
I thought you were going to love those when they're going up. I almost spoiled it, but I didn't. They're going up the elevator and they're like kissing. And then it becomes Mark S. and Miss Casey. And they're like...
I enjoyed it. Again, I like that. Unfortunately, then like it's really sad like 2 minutes later. Also predictably sad because Mark's Innie made abundantly clear what he was going to do.
Yep.
And so I guess I could go in through this the whole time, but I think the one thing I'm confused by, and I think they're supposed to be confusing, is where the fuck are they going? The show has established that they don't have anywhere to go to not be turned off if there's no exit thing, blah blah blah. So like I now have to wait a year and a half to find out where they're running, because that scene has to continue from where it's at. There's not really any wiggle room there. You have to start it just like you did season 1. You have to start season 3 right where season 2 ended.
Well, yeah, and I think where it's going is a fair. Like I think I told you last night. Like they're gonna set it up for where season 3 is heading. Like kind of. Yeah. But it's basically like the parameters, and then within that, it can be a million different things. Are they now the bosses, and Milkchick is like the subordinate? Like I don't know what they're gonna do, but
it's. I mean, again, it's like, are they going to escape and be on the run like this is a Jason Bourne movie?
Well, they can
partially. Well, yeah, they can, but I don't know. They do whatever they want. Which, by the way,
they can't get out of the. They can't.
Well, I don't know. They might find a fucking way because he could turn his innie off in the random birthing center place.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like they kind of can do whatever they want to do. Yes, they could be right to do that. And then again, there's just some end point where it's like they have to get caught in a way, unless they just like murder everyone, which was also very funny because I started almost tearing up. I was laughing so hard by holding your finger on the trigger of a gun as you're about to change people. I was like, you can't do that. And then sure enough, he can't.
I had the same thought as a joke of like, oh god, I wouldn't trust myself because and then he shoots him in the neck.
Again, we've watched 19 episodes, 20 episodes of everyone going like this every time they're in the elevator. I'm like, what the fuck do you think? Like, granted, he doesn't know that necessarily.
Yeah.
But it's very entertaining to be like, you can't do that. And then I was like, because I was also been like, can someone just shoot this guy already? Like, he doesn't need to exist. Like, Beardface is useless. I don't know what. He's also like apparently superhuman because he's just throwing him around airborne, slamming him into a wall, which I was like, okay.
Yeah, he's like 500 pounds of muscle.
Sure, yeah, he's very muscly.
Yeah. So to go back just really quick to the acting, I thought John Turturro just carries every scene he's in.
He's incredible as an actor. For a dude who I've seen in so many Adam Sandler shitty movies, weirdly, holy fucking shit. He's my favorite part of that show.
Yeah, he's great.
Honestly.
His whole storyline, he almost gets lost because it kind of reaches the peak in episode 4.
Yeah.
But he's one of the best parts of the whole season. I feel about John Turturro the way, or I feel about Christopher Walken the way you feel about John Turturro. Of like, I see him in so many comedies now. When
also Adam Sandler.
When he wants to be menacing and have a little bit of edge, oh my god, he nails it.
Which is nice, by the way, because he's been a medium for a long time.
Yes.
So this is a whole other generation getting to see that, oh yeah, Walken's got chops.
Oh yeah.
Oh, unbelievable. I mean, they are, because Adam Scott doesn't have the ability to be compelling in such a deep personal way, because the character he would be that with, he only gets to basically meet again in this episode or the finale. They get to take advantage of that. I'm expecting Adam Scott and whoever he's paired with, I guess, in the next season to probably be able to pull off some of that emotional stuff. But those two are just so good. I think Scott's
they're
great in the finale, by the way.
Yeah. So I think, and I want to get to him. I forgot her name. Helly.
I actually don't know what Helly.
I knew it and I forgot it. I think she does a really great job this season because if you go back, it's hindsight and whatever, and but you can tell by the way she's playing somebody who's pretending to play another version of herself, and I think she really pulls it off, and I was very impressed.
The actress is playing a character who is pretending to be
herself.
Other character in the show to trick the characters who are anyway.
And then when Mark's talking to Mark, I thought Adam Scott killed it because you can always, there's a little bit of lighting difference, but like you never question like, wait, which one am I on?
Yeah.
Because he carries both of them so differently. Yeah. So
and again, and that's one of the most important scenes of the entire show, in my opinion, because it just asks the fucking question that as the audience you've been asking for probably a while now of like, well, what the fuck are we doing here? Because like again, I think I told you, I'm like Irving can merge into his innie and outie, and he'll probably be really happy. Mark probably not so much. Dylan probably not so much, and Helly absolutely not.
Yeah.
So we have these like levels of the four of them of like how willing they would be to merge into one another, and I was like, well, how bad would it be for Mark other than he's in love with two different women, and then his innie is like, fuck no, basically, very abruptly.
That scene to me, after talking with you and kind of thinking about it, I realized it's like written for the audience who's been wondering this whole time, because even Mark, them asking questions and Mark Scout being like, oh yeah, we'll just like join and it'll be like sharing. And he's like, cool, but like how? And also like you're going to be 90% of this experience.
That was a great point.
How am I, like, I'm just going to kind of get lost.
Yeah, it was a great point. And
it's,
for a show too, as I said, gets up its own ass a little bit and tries to expects a lot of the viewer to finally take about 8 minutes or so to throw that in there, I did really appreciate, because I'm like, it isn't fan service, it's just fucking logic. If you're going to put the two characters in front of each other, what the fuck else are they going to talk about here? I did be like, well, any Mark, like, you are seeing versions of the outside world. He's not fully full of shit. You have examples because you've zoned out and been like, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
And I wanted like one little line of like, and again, the Audi Mark said like, well, you've been seeing that we're seeing clips of each other's brains, and anyone didn't want to hear any of it, mostly because, well, he's right to, because he's more or less a slave. I guess getting to the actual point before we get like off the show completely is getting to where the numbers were going and the filing they're doing. The one thing I'm actually perfectly fine with that they don't answer is, well, if that's what he was doing with his refinement, what the fuck were the other three doing? Who are they working on? What are they working on? Like, is Irving working on his dog? I don't know.
Yeah, they do not answer specifically.
And I'm happy with that.
It was either they're all contributing, but Mark is the most important, or literally they are the control data.
Yep.
Where their numbers aren't doing anything, but that's showing that what Mark is doing is actually having an impact.
Yeah. And so I appreciate.
But I don't know.
I appreciate it. That's a thing that I'm like, okay, that's totally fine to hold.
Yeah.
Into the next one. Again, I'd like if we spend a whole episode with Cobell, which I think we're supposed to understand in her episode why she's helping Mark. I don't really find it to be all that clear. I would appreciate like some of the exposition on those type of things, but like Irving disappearing and Dylan's whole thing. I mean, Dylan's whole thing was weird because again, that letter I was like, that doesn't really answer a whole lot for me, because like you're not giving any understanding as to why he should stick around other than you make me want to be a better me. It's like, well, the episode we just watched with your wife saying you've kind of sucked and your innie's better. I'm like, you already had, she literally told you to have the motivation to be not a shit person, and the Audi version of Dylan didn't care. So that really, I got lost on that one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dylan's storyline, which I said like weeks ago.
Interesting though to me.
Sure. I just was like, his storyline of all of them was like, that's the one that got lost on me the more than anybody.
I still liked it, but I agree with you. When you look at the gravity, maybe, of all the, literally every other storyline, and then Dylan's is like, we're using that to compare sort of this weird thing where you're still the person, but maybe they're more core, whatever it is. Yeah, like less consequential.
Yes,
so
it just gets lost. Again, similar to Milchick's assistant girl who gets written in. Everyone, like, it's a mystery at the start of the show, and then come to find out she's just a fucking like 12-year-old intern.
I just
like that was really funny.
I actually liked that. Is she a clone? Is she like?
Is she their daughter?
She's literally an intern.
Yeah, she's just a fucking intern.
Which, like, a brainwashed. It's terrible what they're doing. She's just the new Cobell, which you find out, but. She's just that.
I really enjoyed that because I was like, that's pretty fucking funny because they literally just used her, as you just said, as an example of Cobell's. Cobell's episode talks about it, then we have her go off, and it's like, oh, so we just used her as like, instead of flashing back to Cobell, it was like, well, here's just what she went through. It's the same thing. And I thought that was really fucking funny.
Yeah.
And again, to cast an Asian girl when Mark's wife is Asian, which led everyone to go be, maybe that's their kid and they don't realize and they stole their kid or whatever. I'm like, that sounds like bullshit. All of a sudden, like bullshit. I'm like, I don't have an answer 3 episodes in way back when I was watching it, but I'm like, none of these sound logical.
Also, I don't know why they did that one because there wouldn't have been enough time for her to grow up to be 12.
Well, when we do the flashback to how we got in the situation, that was abundantly clear.
Yeah.
It was just like, I think people were grasping of like, well, what if Lumen can rewind time or undo whatever time? I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I hope not.
Like, I agree. This company is weird and bullshit, and I don't think any of this makes any sense really. But that seems really far-fetched.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so let's do scores really quick.
I can give it a 7 out of 10, which I know is low, but also from where I was like 4 weeks ago is probably a pretty big boost up.
Yeah, because you were at like 4 or 5.
It was
a
pretty.
few
Yeah, it was
weeks
pretty
ago.
low after episode 4 because I'm like that just pissed me off. The only thing I have to say is I'm probably just not a patient enough person.
I was
to
going to
handle
say
a
you
show like
have to
that.
wait till season 3 on some of these, and if they still don't answer by season 3,
Yeah,
then you're valid.
And then just moving the goalposts in a way again because like we know a little bit about Cobell, but after how important she was in season 1, I'm like I don't know that we like. I don't know filming schedule and stuff like that. I was surprised she was that absent for so much of it to be a very important character in the very last episode. So like that, I think if you're more patient than I am and can handle some of the I don't get it, but I'll let it go parts of it, I think it's you range into the like of a 9 or something like that. Because again, the acting's good, the writing when they want it to be is very good, or when they're having some really fun fucking with audiences, then I'm like, okay, this is a little bit more frustrating.
Yeah.
And again, I don't know who the fuck is in charge of Apple's budget for how they shoot shows, but I'll get to it in a second. Apple's on another level right now with some of its shows. Between that and I think Silo's shot really well, and the studio is its own version of this, but it's shot really well. That is really impressive what Apple can do right now.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I would give it like a 9.7 because I don't think it was perfect. If season 1 was kind of perfect, because it almost told its own tale. If you never got a season 2, you'd be like, I'm disappointed. It was kind of a cliffhanger, but I also got what I needed from the show.
Yep. And I really, really loved season 1. I could not stop watching season 1.
To me, it's like 9.7. It's almost perfect. I loved it. I love where they're going. All the things I've already said. So we average out to like high
8,
mid 8.
Because like if season 1 is a really dark comedy about the workplace environment of America and things like that, and some really weird, hilarious like here's a reward for doing a good job from corporate America, perfect, like a perfect satire, like commentary on how that all works. And then season 2 ranges into a really weirder not sci-fi, but like suspenseful, like weird thriller type thing.
And the
in a way.
commentary is more like about the person now, not like the workplace that much anymore.
Yes, exactly.
Which is surprising because of the whole like premise, the foundation of the show. But now you look at it, you're like, it seems like they're not trying to tackle that anymore.
They made their, again, to your point, they ended season 1. It could have been its own thing. They made their point.
Yeah.
And again, I'm like, oh, but I want more of that because I thought it was funny and entertaining. But like, they made their point. Like the show needed to, that version of the show needed to end because what else do they have to say?
Right.
And I respect that. Like I think after watching season 2, I can understand why they moved away. It's just still a disappointment for me.
Can we talk about The Last of Us really quick?
Yes. Again, I've only watched the first episode.
So,
but I know what happens in the second
it's
episode.
interesting because I'm also going to spoil this. So I'm going to spoil Last of Us season 2. If you have not been spoiled online yet, then I guess stop watching.
Or if you don't know what happens in the game.
You know what? I can't. Peter is listening and he has not. He doesn't know the big spoiler
of the game, the second game?
Of the game at all, of nothing. So
congratulations
I don't wanna,
to you
for
that.
It's
so
a miracle.
Sean, you're not going to ruin something that's been years in the making.
Yes, so I'm not going to ruin that now, but I will say some decisions. Okay, he'll go.
This is odd, by the way, because the stream seems down on my end, but we're still connected, and he heard you say that,
Yes.
so I don't know what's going on. Keep going.
So I'm just.
Lumen turned off the stream.
You know
probably.
what? We just dancing around is stupid. We just need to talk about it later. I have some beef with the way they've approached it, though.
The second episode or both?
Because of how they're going to approach the second episode, kind of everything leading up to this now.
I will just say the one thing of, I fucking hate the internet discourse over Bella Ramsey.
Oh, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Like, she's ugly and adult men don't want to fuck the child, apparently, and so they don't like that her face is how her face is or whatever. She's really fucking good.
Well,
it pisses me off really badly because she's really fucking good.
Mason and I talked about this last night. Is like, does she physically, appearance wise, encapsulate Ellie like Pedro Pascal does Joel? No, she doesn't. Does Catherine Deaver, Caitlin Deaver,
yeah.
Does she encapsulate Abby? No, not really at all. They got people who act really, really fucking good, and they didn't worry about approximating.
Which, by the way,
what you should do.
When we cast people who look like the characters and they can't fucking act, you know what people bitch about?
Yeah.
the fact that this is a terrible fucking show. It's literally what we did with the Harry Potter movies. We cast 3 kids, and you kind of got lucky with 2 of them. As being pretty solid actors.
You got insanely lucky with one, pretty lucky with another.
And the other one, well, they had to look the way they had to look. So, like, it really pisses me off when we do that. And again, I think the rumors that, like, Caitlin Deaver could have been, God, why am I blanking all of a sudden? Ellie's character, right? Isn't that the rumor? That she was like trying, like auditioning for it, and that she looks more like what Ellie looks. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but you know what it would have been? She would have looked too old to be young Ellie.
Exactly. But
just like now, Bella Ramsey looks a little too young to be older. And
I get it.
Fine, fucking deal with it.
Yeah, the whole, well, why didn't they recast him? Like, are you fucking serious? You wanted to anyway.
Yeah.
So, again, the first season was great. I enjoyed the first episode.
So did I.
I know less about the second game than you do. I'm also in this for being from Santa Barbara. I'm very excited to see what the fuck this is going to look like in season, 3. I'm finding out. I'm not going to find out what I want to find out this season. I got to wait a while because I don't think we're going to get there.
You might. And
we might get there to start, but I don't know if we're going to live in that world for a little bit.
Oh, actually, I think I know what you mean now. Okay. Yeah, we probably won't.
I think we're strict because the second game is stretched to 2 seasons.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And so I'm guessing where that cutoff is going to be is not where I want to be yet, just because I'm fascinated by, again, when you grow up somewhere and you've gone on these locations and all that, and they did a pretty good job of making Santa Barbara look fucked up, I'm, like, really excited for that. And then we started this season, it was like, oh, fuck, we're going to, like, they're going to rightfully take their time with it. But I got really bummed out when I realized that.
We will talk more later. There's so much I want to say, and there's no point in it because of spoilers and everything else. So
that's fine.
When the season's over, we'll come back and we'll talk about it.
And again, Raya really likes this show. We will be watching it, like,
and you're going to watch Andor too, right?
I'm going to start. I think Raya liked Andor quite a bit. I really do. I might have to wait for like Gemstones to get done here in a couple weeks because that's one less show to like keep trying to keep up with week to week. I'm gonna rip through Andor though once it's up.
Yeah,
because it's the first episode's today,
April 22nd.
Today. Yeah. Yes,
and I think they might have released the first 3.
And that's why it's also probably best to hold off on Last of Us. Although I'd like to talk about the choice the TV show made. It aired 2 days ago. It's very
Sunday.
fresh.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean I'll be watching that regularly. I'll be watching Andor regularly. I'll be watching. It's a really good run of TV again. As I started when the show started, I mean I'm watching the studio. Literally, I get Raya gets home on Wednesdays, and I'm like, "Can we watch the studio? Can we watch the studio? I really want to watch the studio." So I guess
fun.
I can quip on that really quickly. Is that what the last one we had?
That's great. We have time, so go for it.
This is a weird thing to say, but if you ever watched Entourage because you were like, I like the business of how movie and studio stuff works, but I don't want to watch them womanize everyone over and over and over again, and I want it to be actually funny and not sad and boring.
Yeah.
That's what the studio is. Because again, Seth Rogen is not for everybody. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, what, you don't think he's funny? You don't like his laugh, blah, blah, blah. It's so clear for a guy who started his career in stoner comedies, being a stoner, lackadaisical dumbass. It's really funny to me that this dude has been clearly a cinephile for his entire life and career and got rich and has decided to, with his riches and ability to just force stuff to be made, make a show that is just encapsulating a lot of the bullshit that goes on in Hollywood. And I'm sure it's a little dramatized in here and there. And then I'm also like, well, is it though? Because I think that we've seen that like people don't know how to run studios pretty often, actually, and they fuck things up pretty significantly. It's great. Ike Barinholtz is as funny as I believe I've ever seen him. They are so good, and I thank God for Neighbors, and I guess Neighbors 2 for existing, for those two for realizing that they play off each other really, really well. I mean, because like, look, there's a world in which Ike Barinholtz's character is James Franco. If James Franco isn't a creeper molesty guy the whole time, he's 100% that character, and it's not Barinholtz. But Rogen found another guy to play off of really, really well. They are excellent. I'm blanking on the younger actress's name. It's Chloe something. She's like Rogen's assistant.
Okay.
She kind of been in the background for the first handful of episodes. Episode 5 that I just watched is just her and Barinholtz going like toe to toe, like trying to each get a specific movie made that is the same genre, and they're just fucking with each other the entire episode. I was actually in tears. I was laughing so fucking hard. So if you need like a 30-minute break from all the bullshit in the world and want to just be like, wow, that's a really insane thing to do, because the only spoiler I will give you is Scorsese shows up.
Oh yeah, and I knew that already. So.
And they do something really, really funny while also pitching a movie I desperately want to be real. And it's like, holy shit, I know this. So if you know Hollywood and directors and all this type of like business bullshit, I can't fathom you wouldn't like this show.
The horror guy shows up.
The one who made Smile.
Yes.
Yes. He is specifically in the episode I'm talking about from last week.
Okay,
in
great.
episode 5.
Because I think they said we couldn't make that episode if he didn't show up.
They couldn't because it was crucial because this whole episode is about Smile existing.
Okay.
And so they clearly had a bunch of fucking fun ideas. Again, as Sean had said, or I was telling to Sean, the show is shot like a fucking movie. I mean, there's an episode about a oneer and how fun oneers are and how they're a giant pain in the ass bitch to make, but also how cool they make movies. And then the show is shot and it's tricked because it's not all a oneer.
Oh,
it's pretty
almost never.
It's pretty significantly because there's only a couple places you can get creative with it. So it's an episode, and the fact that again, this show gets up its own ass in a very like clearly making fun of that it's up its own ass thing. It's like, hey, I really like these, and then they do it. Hey, I really like a bookend, like starting an episode and starting a movie and ending a movie with like the similar shot or whatever. Like they're making fun of themselves because then they just do it in that way. They make a very noir type episode, which again, it's so far up its own ass. But then you have Zac Efron bullying Seth Rogen, which is just like, man, everyone's so mean to Seth Rogen in this show, and he just kind of takes it. And everyone gets to be a really mean version of themselves, and it's just fucking great. It's just
I love that. I think Always Sunny. Some of the episodes people don't like, I really like, is when they start really playing with like genre.
Yeah.
And like and because I like all that stuff. So
and again,
I'm excited.
Like episode to episode. Again, there's a very small through line of like he's running the studio and he's really bad or good at it or whatever. But mostly it's kind of like self-contained for the most part. And then there's a little bit of character development. And again, I'm not saying it's like an award-winning show. I think it's pretty good. I think it's going to get some nominations. I think Rogen has a chance to get nominated in there. Barinholtz is probably right now the funniest bit of it, I would say. So it's worth it. If you have an Apple subscription, it's like again 35-minute episodes.
Maybe it'll be something Peter and I watch when Maisie abandons us to fucking Tucson. So
and you can again sitting back and waiting for all 10 or 12 that they have for the order, doing like 2 or 3 at a time because again half an hour, 35 minutes. Yeah. You can knock them out and you'll have a fun time.
Great. We should talk about the challenge. I forgot about the challenge.
That's right. We did forget about the challenge.
So we finished the finale, All Stars season 5.
The most predictable season of the challenge that has ever happened, ever. When you introduce an All Stars thing, which all the challenges are easier and sadder and for old people, and then you make teams where there are like, again, Sean and I have talked about this. The problem when you make these teams of rivals or exes or whatever, and it's like female for a couple, and then it's a bunch of mixed gender, and then it's like 2-3 teams of guy. It's like, I wonder who's going to win the show. And Sean failed miserably by drafting one of the male pairings early in our little challenge drafty thing we did that I tried to make balanced and I failed. And then the other one that was male won the show, which Maisie had the first overall pick. And guess what she drafted? The team that won. Because we said, that team's probably going to win.
Yeah, and they did. I'll say I don't like All Stars as much, just in general.
Yeah,
it just
I agree.
Lacks the challenges
Intensity.
are usually not as interesting. The intensity's not there. I thought this finale actually ranked up there with some of the best that I have seen.
Yeah,
it was like they took the real show finale. For the most part, they didn't do the sleeping thing, which I don't like. It wasn't quite as hardcore, but it was so much ahead of last season's finale, even if you don't count the giving the star away thing, which I absolutely fucking hated. But even just the challenges themselves, it was structured like a here to there thing and not like a...
It was interesting because we've done the finals before where you mix pairings and you're stuck with this person for this one and this person for this one, and you score points. And Sean and I and Maisie and Ryan and everyone has basically always been said, well, it's kind of shitty because you don't stay with the same partner. So sometimes you catch the person who's really good at puzzles when it's time to run 18 miles. And it's like, well, they suck at that. So you got fucked in that version of it, and you're the guy who's booking. Like I remember the bike riding one where they were biking. I think it was an All Stars actually when they were mixing the pairings. I'm like, well, it's kind of a bummer because like that partner might suck really bad at that, and so you get their strengths and weaknesses, but it doesn't balance out. This was stuck with the same partner for all 7, 8, whatever stages it was at the finale. It's like, well, that's the way this should be. Again, unfortunately, some of those challenges are really easier if you're male. To be fair, the male pairing almost lost. The edit makes it seem like they were seconds away from losing.
I actually think that's one example where it was legit because both teams thought they won.
Yes.
So I was like, I bet you is pretty close.
Not in talking head. residually from finishing the challenge and getting the horn blown.
Yes.
They both were like, holy shit, we think we won.
Yeah.
And so that was maybe actually how close it was.
Yeah.
The one thing I will give All Stars, and I think it continues to do a really good job, is the eliminations. I would say 75% of them are like, oh, you don't want to like hurt these people. So you're having to get really creative with the way you design them. And I look back at 40 and I remember Bananas, I guess it was 40. Bananas on an ATV against
Oh my God. So bad. Ryan.
And I'm like, that's one of the worst elimination challenges I've ever seen. It was in the mainline one versus these eliminations that are a lot more interesting on All Stars with the creativity they have. I mean, the set design of it is like, wow, that's not easy to have set up. And some are easier than others. But you're right. I mean, that back-to-back episode was very like really enjoyable to actually watch. The one thing is, if you really don't like the challenge, you don't like all the fake drama or real drama, boy, All Stars is a really nice entryway into it because some of these people are like genuinely nice.
I didn't think there was enough drama, but to your point, it's like, they kind of all just got along.
So I watch people kind of fuck with each other. I mean, most of the drama comes from one human being in that season.
Yeah.
It's like 80% Frank. I don't know.
Frank and Shane.
And I guess Turbo being annoying. But like,
Turbo,
It was very makeshift. It wasn't really drama for the show. It was just him being annoying to live with.
Yeah.
Which is like, people are annoying to live with sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
So we will continue to try and refine our drafting thing. It's very enjoyable when we all watch together, although I guess that becomes more troublesome here in the future.
We can pipe her in.
I guess. Maybe.
We'll see. Yeah.
Maybe we should just be excluded.
Yeah, you're done.
She's just fired.
If you wanted to keep watching the challenge, you should have moved to Tucson.
Yeah. And for most importantly, after Sean and I tied / Sean should have won our season 40 drafting thing, Sean finished last this time.
Big time.
Horrendously
Big
last.
time.
I believe 12 or 13 points.
I scored half of what Raya scored.
Yes, Raya won with 1 point over me because she got 2 teams to the final, which we all almost got a team to the final except for Sean.
Well, and I would say, though, Cody's system is flawed. Well,
it was flawed.
I shouldn't say
it was absolutely flawed. We could call it flawed.
The whole point, like, if you get the first place person, you shouldn't automatically win because that's boring.
But she finished third.
Right. That's probably too much.
I probably should have finished third because I had the second place team and then 2 teams that didn't make the final. Raya finished 3rd and 4th with her final teams, but getting 2 people to the final made the episode per episode surviving thing. Raya won basically off that, although I only lost by 1 to her. And I lost the team very early. I lost Fessy and Amber pretty early.
I didn't have a single team in the final, so I'm not saying I should have won or even been close. I should have been last place.
By default, you lost because you almost had Turbo and Nani there. That would have been 1 more point plus at least 1 more. You still scored too low.
Yeah.
That's my problem. You still scored way too low. I think it's in light of me because Raya got 2 teams to the final, which means inherently 18 of her points came from 9 and 9 of making it all the way there. Yeah. And that's where all her points came from.
And I'm the league commissioner, and I was not involved in this process, so I'm only learning about it now. Yes. But if it's a snake-style draft again, and I'm assuming it was.
No, I tried to ratio picks because we couldn't do snake because it would have been like male, 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 male. So I tried to do like pick 1 also gets like picks 9 and 10, and then pick 2 also gets like, I tried to balance them. The problem, honestly, with this season was the teams were really shitty. Like there's a chunk of them that were really bad. And so like a couple teams were dead picks. But then, like, I can't remember who it was. Raya got a team that advanced, like Corey and Big T. She got way more points over them than she should have. She got like 4.
I don't think your system was even that flawed because, like, Frank and Sam made the fucking. They almost won.
Yes,
in a way.
You're
but
right.
You do see the problem, and this is just from somebody who used to do a lot of fantasy drafts. Is so in a typical snake draft, I know there weren't enough teams to make it even, but the first pick would be also 8 and 9, 1, 9, 10. I remember you were going through trying to balance them and make them even, and I think you did a good job there. But if Maisie nails her 1-1 and then doesn't pick again until 9th and doesn't have a shot at winning, then you got to retool the points because there's nothing else she can do. She hit her first pick. By the time she got to 9th, she didn't have a chance to make up ground on the other pick. Yeah. So that's not a criticism. I'm just saying, like, it means you're close, but it means, you got to tweak some stuff because that can't.
And we ran into the problem of there was too many split gender teams, and then some of them were bad. And we were like, their team's not going to be good anyways. And so it was like, well, fuck, Maisie can't get 4 for the champion and then 9 for the show's points to get 13 for Adam and Steve combined. And then also still in one of her other picks, like pick 6, get a split gender team that's probably going to get like 7 more. Because then she's at 20 already, like just on those 2 teams alone.
Yeah.
So it's like she has to be forced to take like the worst split gender team and a female. And the reason Raya did really well, honestly, is because her female team made the finals.
Yeah.
That's why she picked them early, thinking that they would sneak in. She was right. They made the final, and they score 9 plus 1. They scored 10 points for her. That's where she won.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have been that close to her. My selection spot was the one that was flawed. I should have kicked down 1 or 2 spots on one of mine, given them to you and Maisie. And Raya deserved to win because she got a team she drafted pretty. Like I think she drafted them first. She just went with the best female, and then got a mixed gender team, and then that also advanced to the final.
You know what though? What's nice?
And we also just were like, we don't want to pick Frank, and Raya's like, I have no morals.
Yeah.
And so she keeps picking the shitty people who we don't want to have on our team because she just wants to win.
I didn't have a lot of people though that I was like, oh, I wish I had your team.
No, I didn't either.
I wish I had Adam and Steve.
Sure.
That was it.
So we all wish we had Adam and Steve
Yeah.
because we got to the final. I'm like, I want Adam and Steve to win. They deserve to win.
Well, there was a time I think I was in elimination. I think they were eliminating Turbo and Nani or somebody, and I was like, I'm rooting for them.
Yep, they were.
So like, they were the best. They got along. They're sweethearts.
Yeah,
Both of them
and
really.
That's the problem. This team, Adam and Steve, got put into elimination like 5 of the first 6 episodes, and then still somehow in the final, dipshit Adam or Steve or both pours the hot chili blending powder goo into their own thing, being like, well, if we pour it into our own, no one will be mean to us. It's like, they have fucked with you guys all season. It doesn't make you bad people to dump the cup into somebody else's thing rather than taking the hit yourselves. And I'm like, at some point, you do have to be a little selfish and try to fucking win. After you were bitching all season, they kept targeting you.
Well, especially when it's not choosing not to pour it, it's pouring it in your own.
Oh, yeah.
So you're actively hurting yourself.
If you're like, I can pour it out and that's legal, fuck yeah, fine, do that.
Sure. But anyways, I liked it. I thought it was a solid season. In a lot of ways, I liked it more than season 40.
Yeah.
So.
And again, we'll see when 41 comes out. Sean has said that it's filming. I know that there's a bunch of, they're doing another like, I think rookie with a veteran type of pairing because they're bringing in a lot of people from dating shows or weird shows or whatever. They clearly have already abandoned their let's bring Survivor people in from Challenge USA or Challenge International shit. They clearly didn't like that idea.
Yeah, I think they're doing some people from Amazing Race and things like that, but yeah.
So like there's a mix of them rather than pulling them all from CBS exclusive shows, which is what they were doing with USA and then Worlds.
Yeah.
It seems like they've shied away from that premise already. I don't know if the show didn't do well on CBS and then CBS didn't want to renew USA or something. But I thought they were going to end the mainline show at 40, and they're not. They're going to 41. I was worried that CBS was hijacking it, but Paramount Plus is in such a fucking disarray disaster right now. I don't know if Paramount can afford to even take it on, and they just let MTV continue operating as is, which will make it harder for us to continue watching it because there is not an MTV app for me to log into my cable information to actually watch the fucking show because they made it as hard as possible to watch.
Seems like it wouldn't be that hard to figure out. I'm just saying.
Oh, it's not.
Like to how to run a streaming service. It's like,
well, they don't put it on. They don't put them on Paramount Plus, which we pay for. They don't put them on an easily accessible place to watch them through our cable subscription, which I have a login that has the ability to watch MTV, and they make it so fucking hard to be able to watch that. And it's just a bizarre approach. They got rid of their Comedy Central and MTV show, which again, MTV is just a challenge and like ridiculousness, but you can't watch Paramount channels.
Yeah.
They made it as hard as possible in this day and age to watch them.
You know what part of it is, I think? Nielsen ratings don't matter anymore, but The Challenge is one of the best performing shows still left on traditional television.
Yep.
And I think that's part of it.
That's probably fair. From a regular
it's like wrestling, live sports still, if it's a big enough game, those will still pull like 1 million plus viewers. But challenge episodes in new seasons typically show up in the top 6 or 7 of Nielsen ratings for a given night, and that's rarefied air now.
Which is bizarre when we watch it through the streaming service. I make 1 million fake accounts and then cancel it, and then only the commercials we get are commercials to watch other MTV shows.
Yeah,
which is so bizarre.
Yeah.
When we use it through Philo, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the commercials are different if we watch it on regular TV. But I mean, it works. We're gonna keep watching it. So,
yep.
I'm assuming I think that'll debut in the fall. I think it'll be a September, October debut of like when fall shows are normally on, and new is my guess is when they're going to hold 41 for.
And we should do maybe another one of these in like May or June because we'll have at least 2 more shows finished. Andor and Last of Us.
Last of Us has how many episodes?
I think it's going to be 8 or 9.
Okay. Studio has, I think, 10. We're already halfway through.
I might be caught up on that by then, too.
Yeah.
And Gemstones.
Gemstones. So. I mean, you might get to season 4. That's a lot for you to have to try and pull through that.
And also, The Bear is coming out at some point this year.
Cool.
We'll probably never finish Cobra Kai, but that would be a thing.
Yeah.
We'll have to try and conserve or hoard something for August when we're all together, I suppose.
Yeah.
Who
I had
knows
a
when it'll
suggestion
be.
for that. Now I forgot what it was, but
Challenge.
challenge. Yeah, Chris will love that.
Challenge.
Just
Chris will be
to
happy.
binge challenge the whole time. I don't think we're
Dealer-
gonna have a new X-Men yet.
Dealer,
so.
Dealer No Do Island. You want to conserve
There
that
you
show?
go. There you go.
Yeah,
Let's save
conserve
that one
it.
for sure.
Yeah, save it, and then you can save it through after the week as well. All right, that's the end of this episode. Next week, Dave should be back. Next week, probably a Suns cast, and as Cody knows, even he can contribute to that because I don't really want to talk about the Suns themselves, but sort of the NBA as a whole. And that sounds like, oh, no basketball, but like actually I think it's going to be interesting because we're going to be talking about way more than just one team's failings, although there's plenty of things to say about that too. We also at some point are going to have some video game news to catch up on. There's a Star Wars XCOM coming. We had a Mario Kart Direct that gave us almost nothing. We've got Oblivion Remastered, which was leaked but still dropped abruptly today. So lots of stuff going on in video games. We'll get to that eventually, a game show in May. So that's the end of this episode. In between shows, you can find us on our website, grayareas.live or youtube.com/@grayareaslive. We'll see you next week.